As we go through life, one of the big questions about things we purchase is what the value of it is.
Alright, so this is after first watch from the Smack URL event on Caffeine that happened yesterday. The battle started at like 8:30 and it was Smack Volume 6. The first battle, we get straight into it. The first battle was with Ill Will versus Danny Myers. They set the tone, of course. This is what I gotta say. Any battle with Danny Myers is like almost a classic. Well, I know people just throw around the word classic a lot, but he has a lot of replay in his battles. And that's why I guess people say the word classic so much. He always has a reason why you need to go back and watch or why people talk about it or whatever. So the respect is there. Danny really needs more respect. All of the Danny suck thing, yeah, I know people like to troll him or whatever, but he don't. It's way too consistent. And actually, to me, he was more consistent in it, but that I think it was the third round with that intersecting universe that drove it home for Will, no pun intended. And yeah, like a slight hiccup. Both of them had slight hiccups, to be honest, but I think the first and second round is a little more debatable because that intersecting universe in that third round was a good breakdown of like everything that needed to be said. I guess from Ill Will, his point got across a little more. Then the second battle was surprisingly Arsenal versus Jerry West. I say surprisingly because Arsenal is one of the biggest names in the culture. So for him to have a top of the card battle was weird. But I'm glad it happened because the energy was still there. Even though not talking about energy from the crowd. I'm saying like watching energy. Because man, the event lasted 4 hours, man. 4 hours into after 12. I think 12:07 it was officially over. Alright, enough on that. I had Jerry West winning. I know that's not the popular vote by literally that's not the popular vote. On Caffeine, Arsenal won. In which I expected. Arsenal's a bigger name. People live that's watching and you probably were watching for Arsenal. Most of the time that's what happens. When you have a bigger name, they're literally tuning in for that person. The first battle though, they was number 9 trending in the country with Ill Will and Danny Meyer. So they actually set it off of trending. But yeah, I had Jerry West winning. But the votes went to Arsenal. I think on first watch, Jerry West was stronger. Like he just had stronger points, especially in his third round with the antics or whatever. People would say, "Oh, that's for a crowd," but they both did the same antic. They both had a cell phone antic. They both had that, and that was entertaining. I like that, and I think Jerry West is should be more solidified with when it comes to battles. Like it's okay to lose to Arsenal because of popular votes or whatever, but I think breaking it down, I think Arsenal just had a lot of filler. Yeah, he had I was here first. This is how I made my career type bars, but he always have those type of bars all the time. And it just wasn't as refreshing to me on first watch. Remember, all of this is quick review, first watch stuff. The No Stars Without Arsenic from Jerry West when he had the seat. It was like a bar about a car or whatever, and he said something about a No Stars Without Arsenic. It's just how he put it together. On second watch, I could break it down better. Anyway, B Dot and Chilla Jones. I was very disappointed in B Dot. I know he was disappointed in himself. It was just I'm only disappointed in the glitching. That seems to be a term that was used yesterday. It was not a choke. Fans have to stop saying everything is a choke. Every time somebody stops a tad bit, oh, he choked. A choke is when you can't complete your rounds, period. Period. It's when you can't complete. It's not when you get the ball back. That's just the stumble or a mishap, that it's not a choke. Now, if you choke for like 30 seconds, now if you stop for like 30 seconds or more, yeah, you could consider that a choke, but not if you get it right back and you start rapping and you complete your rounds. I think his glitching made his rounds weaker, but that first round was incredible. B Dot is, he raps at a high level. So every time he performs, you're going to expect high level bars. But Chilla Jones is also a high level rapper, high level lyricist. And I think he was better all 3 rounds. He was more consistent all 3 rounds. And his points were stronger. He said something in the face off about I wanted more. And Surf had put in the comments on Caffeine, yo, he want this championship bad as shit. Now that's funny because yeah, he did look like he wanted more. He sounded like he wanted more. He was way more in control of his rounds and his points getting across. And I really think it was almost a clear win. Almost a clear win on first watch. Of course, when you go back, usually Chilla wins on the second watch, third watch, but this was like, nah, he won that. We gotta give it to Chilla. All of the he was boring. It was this. First of all, both of them was supposed to have 4 minutes and 30 seconds or 4 minute rounds, but they was gonna go up to like 4:30. And I think Chilla literally rapped that. And it's battle rap. Long events, long battles are going to seem boring anyway. I don't care who it is. It's rare that rounds over 3 minutes is going to draw interest to the crowd. But for me, I like all of that stuff. I like when you can hit heavy a whole round. The whole African thing and the when he brought up about how the situations going on in Africa and you haven't tweeted once about it, but it was like 40 million people tweeting and all of that. It was different, man. It was different. Then you had K Shine versus Pat Stay. Pat Stay was horrible in the first round. Even with the joking, even all of the charisma, all of that didn't matter because the style that he used, of course, I guess Pat Stay realized it himself, it works better in a big crowd. You can't have let me talk to the crowd bars, or you can't have like you punk your little twerk, all of that type stuff. It was like, man, rap. I wanted to hear you rap. K-Shine did that every round. Every round got better. Oh my God, that third round was so different. He kept beaming in and out of him and Pat Stay giving. He was trying to give like an interpretation of how both people are. And I don't think a lot of people probably understood that off first watch, but I got it immediately. It's like, okay. It was kind of like watching a Jordan Lucas video when he did I'm Not a Racist. And it just reminded me of that. I don't know if he was going for that concept, but it was very similar to that. Now, and I think that would solidify the win. Like, yeah, Pat Stay had his second and third round was good. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't bad. It's just that style would have worked better if it was a large audience. They were on a stage. Outside, when we want to hear how good you can rap, yeah, it didn't fit. And then you had the main event. Geechee Gotti versus Goodz. People had Goodz winning on Caffeine. I totally disagree with that. I think off second, third, whatever, how many watches you want to give this, it's going to be so unanimous with Geechee Gotti. It's crazy. My prediction on the app is he's going to win all those rounds. Slick talk, all of that was cool. And I really emphasize it was cool. But Geechee Gotti had stronger rounds, man. What are we doing? He rapped better than Goodz, and it showed. It was very clear. Come on. Goodz had you talking slick to an oil spill. How many times have your uncle or somebody said something like that. That come on, bro. We not doing. I'm not giving you points for that. But I did like the boss talk. Owning things, and I like hearing that. I like hearing that from Goods. I just think maybe if that was another example, if it was on a bigger stage, I think it would have been better. Yes, he comes from Lions Den. Yes, he comes from small room battles. We could go back in the footage and we can see Goods rapping in stores, all of this type of stuff. So it's not that he's not equipped for this type of atmosphere. I just don't think this time it worked versus the person he was against. Person he was against was Geechee. Geechee was consistent all 3 rounds at a high level. It was much higher level of rapping and writing material. His material just for me was better. But once we rewatch all of this, it comes out on the app, URL app. Subscribe. Might see a difference. You might judge it differently. But so far, for first watch of every battle, this is what I got. I'm out of here.